I'm Katie, and this is episode 84 of Ornamentations, which is going to be the holiday kit launch of the fabulous, sparkling Crystal Dove and the Prairie Schooler 2023 Santa. We'll be talking all about the kits today, but I do have some other fabulous things for you, such as talking about luscious, sparkly, iridescent holiday displays. I have several finishes to share with you. I've also got doves like twittering around my head here like I'm Cinderella, but I think those were bluebirds in the Disney film. Anyways, several finishes. I also have a couple of whips to share with you and lots of sparkle to make your day bright. Mildly ironic because it's the first rain of the season here in Northern California. The day is quite gray, and at some points you may hear rain pounding on the roof because we have a squall moving in, if I read the radar correctly. So the sound might be a little weird. I'm not sure about the light in here, but we are plowing ahead anyways because holiday kit releases are here, and let's talk about it before I move on to finishes and whips. Oh, I also have to give away a winner from the last episode too. We'll have that at the end. So, holiday kits. The first kit that is available is the much discussed Crystal Dove, as seen here on my displays, hanging behind me on my bookcases. I don't think I fully thought that one through. I thought it would be really cool to have them hanging off the bookcases, and now they just look like they're clustered around my head. Maybe that was ill-conceived. So, the Crystal Dove. This is an original embellished wool felt applique ornament from Katie Strachan Artisan Embroidery. It combines all kinds of beads, sequins, crystals, and general lusciousness in a complete kit, including downloadable PDF instructions that will take you through every detail of this fabulous project to create an heirloom ornament. The Crystal Dove kits are $60, and they are now available on my website, linked in the description. As I mentioned last time, if you don't need a box for every dove that you're ordering, I know some of you don't, please contact me using the contact form on my website with your order number and how many boxes you would like. It'll spare me a shipping headache if you don't need boxes for every single dove. If you do, I will happily send them to you because every single dove is boxed and ready to go. I will be very busy shipping as orders come in. So the dove, as I said, does have full color, highly detailed instructions as a PDF download, and that's going to be automatically sent to your email after you complete your purchase. If you don't see that, definitely check your spam folder. And I did mention this last time, but I highly recommend viewing the instructions on a screen. Laptop, iPad, whatever you like, rather than printing them out, because this is white on white stitching. You'll be able to see much more detail, adjust the brightness, and just get more out of the photographs if you're viewing it on a screen, although you can of course print them if you like. The doves, as you can see, I love the doves. I have a major collection myself. That's not actually because I want doves twittering around my head on Flosstube forever, but I really just enjoy making these. They are a super fabulous, super sparkly, super fun textured finish, and the camera really doesn't do justice. I could not be more excited to share these with all of you. My mom has actually already started hers, and I know she's enjoying it. One of the perks of being my helpers is that you get your kits early. So she's already started. And then the second new kit on offer is the 2023 Prairie Schooler Santa. That is $54, and this kit includes everything but the chart. So as we discussed last time, and I did do this last time, so I will try and keep this brief before we move on to my current stitching. The kit includes a cut of the linen, which is 38 count, the silk satin backing used on my own finish, 7 full spools of thread, the fuzzy stuff, the chenille needle used with the fuzzy stuff, and the sequins and beads that are used to accent my own finish. The tutorial for the fuzzy, sparkly, fabulous Santa beards is now posted on my channel. Many of you have already seen it, and I would really encourage you all to give this a try if that seems fun to you. Fuzzy stuff is not expensive, and whether or not you're interested in the kit, this is a really great detail to add to any Prairie Schooler Santa or anything that could use a little fun, fluffy, sparkly texture. One comment I've mentioned trying this out on a chick on an Easter finish. I think that sounds amazing. So have fun with this. I know I have. But back to the kit for a minute. So this does include full spools, and as we talked about last time, Prairie Schooler Santa palettes are really, really similar. So one kit can take you through a lot of Santas. You may need to add or subtract a color here or there. You can vary up the look by swapping one of them out, maybe change to another red to kind of vary your Santas if you would like, but this will get you through way more than one Santa, and you'll find you can make a great deal of use out of the kit. I think that the Prairie Schooler Santa one is really great value because it's not just for the one Santa, awesome as he is, it will get you through a whole block of Santas. And then I do still have some other kits available, as well as some news about them. Cardinal kin kits are still available, and then the cardinal kin with beading kits are back in stock. I was able to get a supply of some more crystals and beads. Those are not available separately. They're only available as the cardinal kin with beading kit. Those are listed on my website. Just the plain cardinal kin, and then cardinal kin with beading, which would be the sparkly crystal brulette etching that you see here. And then also available, I'm coordinating fabulously with my tree, which we will look at more closely a little later in the episode. The Stacy Nash Wonderful Life pinky drum shown with my sparkling wreath tutorial. This is so fun to do, and yeah, they go together. I swear I did not plan that. That was just a happy accident, or perhaps they're just kind of like things in the same color and sparkle range. That's probably it. Stacy Nash Wonderful Life pinky drum. If you're interested in the display, the sparkling wreath tutorial is available on my channel. And then also chocolate hearts by Plum Street. These are fabulous. These would be great gifts. My mom loves hers. She keeps it out year round. I think probably because it's less explicitly seasonal than a lot of my other finishes. But you've got red, you've got green. It can also be holiday. So this was a favorite. Highly recommend that as well. So with that, I'm actually going to pause this and move the camera a little closer so that we can take a look at my whips. Although, don't worry, we're gonna look at the tree in detail, and trust me, you want to, because it's fabulous. Okay, I lied to you. We're not getting to whips just yet because I have super big, incredibly exciting news that I've been dying to share with you for ages, and the time is finally here, so I can't wait any longer. And what we're going to be talking about may not actually be news to all of you, because my contribution here has been very kindly already shouted out by a few Flosstubers you may have seen. Nicola Parkman of Hands Across the Sea was kind enough to mention it in a recent Flosstube, as well as Trisha Nguyen of Thistle Threads in her most recent Flosstube, which was a tour of what we're about to talk about. And what we're about to talk about is Choice and Precious Work, the Needle and Beyond, the new 2024 exhibition catalog from Witney Antiques. It's a monster. It's the culmination of a 3-part series on 17th century English needlework The first was the band sampler book from 2022. I write the needle's praise. As you can probably see from all of the marks, I refer to all of these books very regularly. They're indispensable references, source of inspiration. Choice and Precious Work, Elizabeth Hall and Friends, 2023 exhibition. You've heard me talk about this. I never shut up about this book. However, the granddaddy of them all, The Needle and Beyond. This is legitimately as big as Twixt Art and Nature, both in size and in content and in awesomeness. And I have particular cause to be excited about it, other than its amazing collection of 17th century English needlework, which you know is my theme music, because I am very, very, very honored to tell you that I am a contributor to this book. That's my name in print, in a real book, and not just any book, a really cool book. How unbelievably exciting is that? You know, that's a dream that I had put all aside for a long time, and I didn't realize how much it would mean to me until I opened this up and saw it there on the page. So I wrote about a specific collection of 17th century band samplers, and you'll buy the book and read it for yourself. But I also contributed technical analysis on some of the object descriptions. And so I would actually like to talk more about the book itself than my own embellishment. You can read what I wrote if you're interested, but this is a collection that will never be assembled again because it has so much breadth and depth, and the condition of the objects themselves is just so extraordinary. I'd like to highlight a few particular pieces that I think are particularly fascinating. So when this came in, I dropped everything despite eminent holiday kit releases and read it cover to cover. I will be spending more time rereading it and getting more in depth in it because the quantity of information in here will legitimately break your bank. There are all these amazing pieces, but there's also a great deal of new research and scholarship. Mine's not the only article. Becky and her research associate Isabella wrote several, and then Alison Smith wrote one on her silver coil technique that she's been researching for many years. This is a kit she put out some years ago, and which I made for a silver coil box similar to the types that were shown in Elizabeth Hall and Friends. So there's so much information in here, but there's also really, really, really cool stuff. And I'm just going to show you a couple pieces. You need this book. I mean, you really, really need this book because Becky had an amazing vision of the story she wanted to tell. She's been assembling objects for years to do this, investing in conservation, and something like this is not going to come along again anytime soon. So you do really want this, and the eye candy in here is absolutely amazing. So this is one of my personal favorite pieces. This is listed in the book on page 200 for when you get your copy as anonymous polychrome band sampler. I did do the stitch analysis on this one. Becky sent me quite a range of photos, and I have been jokingly calling it the all of them sampler ever since, because I was so tempted to put down stitch list, all of them, because this sampler has everything. It has things that I personally hadn't seen on a polychrome band sampler before, and also just the condition. Look at this thing. Does that look like it's been sitting around for hundreds of years to you? The color, the condition, the amazing skill shown on this, the variety of techniques. There is just so much incredible stuff in here. There's embroidery on an egg, an actual chicken's egg that somebody embroidered on. I'm pretty skilled myself, but I can't even, the mind boggles as to what would be required to do that without breaking it. There are multiple caskets. There are full suites worked by identified girls. I mean, there's just everything in here. There's also an extraordinary, this piece is one of one, at least as presently known. We never know what we might find in the future. People still have things hiding in their attics in England. This is a casket, but it's paper instead of embroidery. Trisha spent a lot of time on this piece in her Flosstube at the exhibition. So it's got all these scenes. It's also huge, but these are paper scenes, and they're not somebody cut out a picture and plunked it on a box. Each of those is individually cut, pasted, colored, and then lacquered over. You can see why that would be pretty fragile and why so few of these have survived. I believe this is the only known intact example, and it even comes with awesome trinket boxes. This is just an absolute masterpiece of a book, and I have 2 copies for myself. I got one for my mom. Obviously, she was very interested because of my involvement. She actually sat down just to read my article and then ended up spending an hour going through the whole rest of the book, marveling at all the amazing things that are in there. And unlike myself, she's not really a 17th century English embroidery nerd. I am. It's not really a surprise that I would find this enrapturing, but I think she was just astounded by what was in this book. It was a voyage of discovery for her. I think it might be for you as well if you're not already a 17th century nerd. So, choice and precious work, The Needle and Beyond. Available now at retailers, which will be listed in the description, and I would strongly encourage you to get a copy and explore everything that this has to offer, because things like this don't come along very often, and it's extraordinary. I'm really excited to get to spend more time with my own copy after all of the holiday shipping is done. So with that, we will actually move on to my finishes and whips. So first off, on the finishes, I did 4 more doves. I've got a gigantic pile of them. They're twittering around my head like I'm Cinderella. They're on my tree. We will look at the tree in details, and this was harder to show on camera than I realized. I had this great vision of it just glittering next to me the whole time, making you all drool, and then I realized the size and height different. It's difficult to get this whole thing in frame, but we will look at that in greater detail after we get through the actual stitching, just in case for some reason you're not interested in crystal dove and mother of pearl fabulousness. I don't know why you wouldn't be. If you're not, we'll do that at the end. And we will finally now get to stitching. So I did 4 more doves, which brings the total to 8. I've got a promo. Already cut out the 9th. I'm not done. But I also started working on Little Nick from Not Forgotten Farms. The eyes had it on a kit, so I am going to do this as a kit. Keep in mind, neither of the ones I'm about to show you are actually the kit version. We're gonna have a Santa beauty pageant once I'm done with all of these, and then talk about what's your favorite and why. But in the meantime, I have 2 contenders to show you, although I don't actually think either of these is the one. This is small enough that I can just stitch up extra versions, work out my color choices between different objects, and then kind of line them all up in a row and evaluate what I like and don't like about each of them and adjust before I make a final kit version. So the first attempt was on Wild Honey. Ooh, you know, he shows up better on camera than he did in life. That might be the weird gray day we're having in there. Can you hear the rain on the roof? It is raining right now. So let's talk about this guy. He does have a fabulous crystal embellished hanger. I have a tutorial for this on my YouTube channel. I'll link it in the description. He's on Wild Honey. I like a lot about this guy. I like him even more on camera, actually. But I sat down and I thought, you know, this isn't the one. And I'm going to tell you why. So I did his beard in Smyrna crosses. Yes, I block stitched Smyrna crosses because I'm a special kind of crazy. I thought it'd be cool to experiment with subtle differences in texture. And I didn't want to just go straight to fuzzy stuff without passing out. I feel like, you know, you can overdo it big. You should find new tricks, right? And I'm always interested in new things you can do with texture. However, the Wild Honey is very, very similar to not the actual thread, but just the value in tone that's used for his cheeks and his skin tone. And because this beard's quite thin on the side of his head, he just kind of disappears at the top there. Are you seeing what I'm talking about? The other thing is that I immediately went to a very bright, very juicy red, thinking that that would just pop on the Wild Honey, which it does. But I also wanted to use those little red crystals. So these have been discontinued for a long time, but I think I have a line on getting enough quantity to be able to add these to kits, which, if you haven't experienced these before, they are awesome. They should be a highlight of this finish, but because the red is so bright, the crystals aren't popping as much as I would like. So I looked at I thought, you know, he's cute. And then of course I added to the fun with the hanger. But I thought, you know, I can do better. He's good, but he's not the guy. So that led me to version 2, which I did on Fuller's Teasel. This, I think, is much closer to what the actual kit will look like. So I did return to fuzzy stuff because, you know what? If it's a hit, then you should play it. Because nobody wants to go to a concert where the band won't play that one song everybody wants to hear. Fuzzy Stuff is that one song. It's like if you went to a Fleetwood Mac concert back in the day and they wouldn't play anything off of Rumors, you wouldn't be best pleased. So I think I just compared Fuzzy Stuff to one of the greatest albums of all time. That was unintentional. That was total slip of the tongue. I don't think this is Rumors, just for the record. I'm getting really off the point here. Anyways, so I did Fuller's Teasel because I thought that would have, oh no, please focus. There we go. Okay, so I thought that would have more of a tonal difference. It would be a better background. I think that's the correct choice. As much as I love Wild Honey, I had never tried stitching anything where you needed skin tone on it. I've done other Christmas pieces. It looked fabulous, but a person like Little Nick, I think, looks better on Fuller's Teasel. You know, if something's a classic, it's just a classic. So the Fuller's Teasel and then the Fuzzy Stuff really helps this guy pop. And then I went for a more faded red, and so there you can see the accent of the crystals better, I think. And then I tried out a hanger that I've been wanting to try for ages. So these are just oval crystal beads and then small dark red rounds. So my thought on that for a kit would be that the kit would just be this, and then I'd have beading extras like I have done with other kits where I had, you know, some kind of crystal accent on the finish, brulette hanger, whatever. So you'd have a beading add-on if you love the peppermint crystal hanger. But the crystals do add to the cost, so that would be optional. So I think that guy is getting pretty close, but I do have another thing I would like to try. I am gonna give Wild Honey one more go, and I want to try going even more faded on the red. We're verging on pink here. We'll see. This might turn out to be a total disaster, but I want to at least give it a try because this guy is very small. He's really fun to stitch. You know my thoughts about block stitching, but I have really enjoyed Little Nick so far, and my extra versions will make for fabulous gifts. Between them and those, I've practically knocked off my whole Christmas list, and we're not even halfway through November, so I'm feeling pretty proud of myself. This is responsible Christmasing over here. Not just me playing with color. It's actually just me playing with color, but anyways, so what's on this guy is right here. I am going to try going one step lighter and seeing what that does. So we'll look at the results next time. We'll see how many little nicks I have, and then we will line them all up, compare and contrast what works, what doesn't work, look at the different versions, and have a Santa beauty pageant. But for the meantime, please do tell me what you think about these guys. What did you like? What did you didn't like? What would you like to see in a future kit? Because as I said, the eyes had it on that one. The response was very strong to Little Nick is it. And I agree with you. You know how some charts just grab you? You see them and you're like, oh yeah, that one. Gotta stitch that. And yeah, that's what this did for me. But I'm also thinking that the kit should be a double, because the companion chart was just released. It's got the same color palette, which means we could do a kit for Mr. and Mrs. because it's the same threads, and all you would need is just a little extra linen, which wouldn't add significantly to the cost of the kit, but then you get 2 for 1. So let's get to haul, although I do actually have another one we'll talk about in a minute. That is not Forgotten Farm Cookie Claus. She's awesome. I love them. I can't wait to have these on my tree. So Mr. and Mrs. kit coming for me in 2025. Book it, guys. If you would like to stitch these a la Katie, get your charts and hold off on stitching called for, because these are coming and they're fabulous. So I'm hoping for next time I will have gotten through all my versions of Little Nick and we'll have started on Cookie Claus. She's great. I love these. These just slay me. And let me see. Oh, I forgot to say one extra thing about Little Nick. Oh, and now his hangers are tangling up. I didn't stop with the efforts to create texture on this, so I also used bijou for his belt and his boots. So that has some sparkle there, which you can't see on camera. And then I did rice stitch for his belt buckle. Again, things that don't really translate on camera, but when you're looking at it in person, you can just see there's a little extra something there that adds to the finish. I think that's really fun. Rice stitch is a 1-for-1 substitute for a plain cross, so if you'd rather not, you don't have to. Those are just some things that I really enjoy playing with. And then, oh, the other one. So I signed up for the Jingle Ball just to get this, which hit my inbox this weekend. This is the Stacey Nash Gingerbread House Sewing Book. And does anybody know if these pieces get released in a year? Because if they do, I think this badly needs to be a holiday kit. I can say that because Stacey Nash has sold out all of her own kits, and I can tell you that I'm thinking of doing the Super Katie sparkle version of this, putting it on smoke signal, using all kinds of sparkles, sequins beads. I think you could use bugle beads for those garlands to pop them out and make them look more textured, like real greenery. I can think of 1,000,001 things to do with this. I doubt I will actually be present at the Jingle Ball. I do have a conflict that weekend, but my buddy Laura sent this to me and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm there. And they are recording the classes, so I will definitely be watching the class after the fact. I'm okay at finishing. I usually do my own finishing, but nothing learned is ever wasted. I'm really interested to take the class from Stacey Nash, even if it's not live, and I can't say how much I love this piece and I'm excited to stitch it. So that's in my holiday stitching pile as well. I do like that for a kit. I'm not entirely clear on the release status of that for next year though. If you do know, shout out in the comments, because I think I'm probably not the only person excited about that one. Are you excited? I'm excited. And then before we get to my last whip, I'm all over the place today, guys. Sorry. I have another finish to share with you. I'm just whips, finish, whips. No, those were all finishes. I haven't even gotten to whips yet. I don't know where I am in my own outline. So this is Whip, The Last Time I Saw You, Token of Love by Cranberry Lane. And I have a finish. Does that look awesome or what? I did this as a plain pillow finish. This is just a Swan 103 on Legacy Linen 37 count smoke signal. And as a coverage thing, anyone think the color is not showing up there? I know a lot of people won't use Swan 103 below 40 count. Some actually won't use it below 45. And if that's your preference, I am not telling you that you're wrong. There's no wrong with coverage. There's just what you like. However, that's 37 count, and I think that looks pretty awesome. Color is definitely showing up really strongly. I don't see any sparseness there. There is always a difference with coverage when you're looking at something very close stitching, especially if you use magnification, and then what it looks like at the actual distance where you're going to see your finish. Those are two different things. So if you're ever trying to evaluate your coverage, just general tip here, take it out from under your magnifier, put it up where you're going to be looking at it, and then see what you think, because often I can see some sparseness when I'm stitching, but I pull back and I think, you know what? That looks fabulous, because in my mind, this does look fabulous. I really enjoyed stitching by this, by the way. There are a lot of really subtle design details in this. The way the hearts managed to repeat in this, but quite subtly. And then the fact that it's not just symmetrical. I like symmetry, but this gives the appearance of symmetry while not making you stitch everything twice. The motifs flank and give the kind of illusion of symmetry, but they're all subtly different. And the letters are all different too. And so that makes this interesting, fun, and varied to stitch. I really went through this one really, really quickly, and I love the sentiment. Tell the people in your life that you love them, because it's not a thing that can be said too often. And with that, I'm going to clear a few things away, and we are going to look at my current whips. Okay, whips. I have two to show you today because, I've been finishing things. Token of Love, 2 little nicks, 4 doves. Oh, this is starting to sound like a partridge in a pear tree. But my first whip I have to show you is I went back to something that has been, unfortunately, been very on and off for me since I started it, which is bad because I really would like to give more time to it, and that is Fox and Rabbit, Elizabeth Campbell, 1838. Yeah, I'm still on the border. Normally that would bug me, but for some reason I can't quite square with it myself. I like this border. I mean, I actually like stitching it, and I find it oddly restful. So I'm now over halfway, which, look at me, I have gotten the center line down to the corner turn, which establishes essentially the parameters of the design. If I were more disciplined, I would take that and join it to the other side to make sure that this is correct. But one thing I actually really like about this border is how dense it is. I essentially work one strand of each color in alteration. So I'll work a strand of the light green, then I'll come in with some dark green and establish the structure, and then I'll add a strawberry, and then I'll put it in the green, and then I'll add a strawberry. And so that keeps it varied, but it's been regularized, so I'm not constantly looking at the chart, and I just can kind of hum along and stitch. So I have been pulling this out when I've got a dedicated block of time to it. So at our family lunches on Sunday, which usually run for several hours. I've been taking this along so I can sit down and get in some good work on it. This is Swasserfine on 48 count marchpane. The conversion at this point is still only $5. One day I will get you a full silk conversion on this guy, but I really want to finish the border on this one because, as I said, I'm enjoying it. I find it oddly restful, which is weird for me. I don't normally like border stitching, but because once I get that border done, it's going to be a glide path to a finish. If you haven't heard me talk about this before, I'm going to take out all the charted stuff up here and put in family initials. I am Scottish on my father's side. Actually, I think on both sides, but I think of my mother's family as American. My father is actually from England. He is British. So this will be a family heritage sampler that honors my father's side after I adapted Plum Street's This Happy Morning to honor my mother's side. So we're doing a small Scottish sampler to honor my father's side, and I'm really enjoying it. I'll post what I do have of the conversion in the description if you would like to stitch along. Honestly, I could get a finish on this before the end of the year if I were really going to devote myself to it. However, I'm looking at the calendar and I know that that time at which holiday stitching becomes an all-consuming, irresistible urge is growing ever closer, and it very well might hit me before I see you again. There's already been a fair amount of that. I've managed to break that up with other things, but at some point I'm gonna crack. And I don't think I'm the only person feeling that, because I've noticed a lot of people in my neighborhood are putting up their decorations early. I saw some going up the day after Halloween, and as I've been driving home at night, there are more and more lights up in the neighborhood. At the end of daylight savings time always feels so sudden, sharp, like a shock. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but suddenly it's dark at 5 o'clock and the night seems very dark. So I'm really happy for those people who are wiring up their Christmas lights, even though it's not even Thanksgiving yet, because it's beautiful. And I love sparkles. Have you noticed? So this has actually been up in my house for the last month as I've been working on it, tweaking it, adding every little last detail. So I do get the impulse. It's been going on here too. I'm not casting any stones. You know, if it works for you, then go ahead and do it. And then we have some very sad, minuscule progress on my last hook that we'll be looking at today, which is my beaded basket. I didn't get the tray out because I would totally knock it into my tree, and whoop. So I just have the one flower I have actually finished. It's been a little busy here with all the prep for the holiday kit release. Everything's kitted, it's ready to go. I have shipping supplies. So not a lot of time for beading, but I did finish one flower, which is a daffodil. And this is different from my previous ones because of what the trumpet looks like on that daffodil. So that is a very open, lacy structure called double right angle weave. The leaves are peyote stitch, as I have done on all my previous pieces. That's the beading technique I normally like. You do see right angle weave and double right angle weave a lot on historic baskets. I'm going to put some photos in here of an example of the Met. If you would like the photos, please go to the Met's website directly and download them. They're linked in the description. Don't screenshot these, they belong to the Met. So the Met basket uses double right angle weave on all of the daffodils, notably with much bigger beads than what I tried, which is probably why I hated doing this so much. I knew I didn't want to copy these. For one thing, I never really like to copy anything. I always like to put my own spin on it, but I did kind of like the challenge, so of course I went straight to the most difficult bit there, which would be tubular double right angle weave. If you've done right angle weave, you know how incredibly stupid that is, especially with minuscule, super tiny beads. I don't know what I was thinking. So this is the one daffodil on this basket that's going to look like this. It will be in a grouping of 3, but once I put this together, assembled it, and set it in the tray, I looked down at where I had sketched in some daffodils and noted that this motif was the one where I had actually made design notes. I came up with a way to incorporate right angle weave into this motif without doing this. Maybe I should try listening to myself, because that was a good idea that I am going to execute on the other daffodils. I could have spared myself this complete and utter misery. It does look pretty awesome though. I am kind of glad I tried it. So I am going to do some right angle weave on this basket because I like the texture, but it is going to be in very limited use because I legit hate the stitch. Apparently I'm not the only one. Reading that in the comments made me feel a lot better because I actually thought it was just kind of uniquely defective when it comes to right angle weave. But that's the beaded basket. I do have some other bits for the next daffodil, but at the moment they don't look like anything, so we just looked at the one flower. Hopefully I'll have some more daffodils to show you next time. And now let's talk this tree. So I will hold this up to the camera. I'm going to insert some photos so you can really get a better idea of what this looks like here. Actually, you know what? I think I may move the camera. Hold, please. Okay, so if I break my elaborate handiwork, please know it was all for love of you, my Flosstube viewers, because nothing else could induce me to try it and pick this up and show it on the camera. I know I'm gonna break something. Anyways, so this is an actual legitimate handmade feather tree, and it was inspired by the work of 2 incredibly inspiring and creative women who also happen to be good personal friends. Those would be Susan Stanley and Jackie DuPlessis. Last year for a holiday, Susan Stanley did a vintage feather tree, which was, oh my gosh, just decked out to the gills with all kinds of awesomeness. Her theme was vintage sewing accessories. I'm gonna link her Flosstube in the description. If you haven't seen Susan's tree, go check it out. It is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I admired it so much at the time. I thought about just copying Susan, but I knew I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted a Katie version of this, but I didn't quite know what that was. And then I went to summer school and I saw Jackie DuPlessis had a display that was a similar tree, only she had decked it out with all of her mother of pearl thread winders. It was just all mother of pearl. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I wanted to do that too. So I was mulling over Jackie's tree, and then the thought came to me that I had something that would go really, really well with that, and that was the crystal doves, which also have all kinds of sparkle, even some slight rainbow iridescence in some of the crystals. And I thought, you know what? That would be the perfect mixture. Mother of pearl and crystal doves. So that's what my tree is, and I'm going to pull this up to the camera. I'm going to review the footage later and see how it shows. I may be inserting still photos, but I would like to get you some actual video just so you can see the sparkle, the luminousness, all the amazing fun stuff here. So I put it in a base of air clay and just a ceramic footed bowl here, and then I hit the base with tinsel and then vintage silver mercury glass ornaments. I wanted to just kind of break up all the white and anchor the tree a little bit. That's a really good way to disguise the base, by the way, if you have one of these, because they do come with these kind of wood bases. It didn't really sing to me, so I wanted to disguise the base. And then I strung a garland of all different kinds of crystals, and I did something a little nutty, no, really nutty, but actually super effective here, which is that I knotted in between each bead on this entire garland. And what that does is it distributes the weight and it helps your garland drape. It makes it, the most important thing is it makes it much less prone to breakage, but it also then gives you these beautiful, elegant swags that can really move, they can hang nicely. It's a crazy amount of work when you're doing it. I don't even think you can really see all the knots in between the beads there, but if you're using something heavy like crystals, it's a really good trick to know. And then in between the doves and the garlands, I have all of my mother of pearl treasures from Jackie. And when I had this idea, I immediately contacted her. I was like, Jackie, this is what I want to do. I want to do doves and mother of pearl. I need more mother of pearl, help me out. So I'm also going to show you some of the new things I got from Jackie. And I'll put her contact information in the description below. So to make them into ornaments, I just took a really slender wire. I made little loops on each end and I put them into the thread winders so that I could hang them from the tree. I'm really sorry about the camera struggling to focus there. So this is one of her rectangular cut out mother of pearl pieces. I had so much fun arranging all of this. I was moving thread winders around and like swagging my garland and experimenting with some other things, which we'll talk about in just a hot second, like moving the ornaments around the base. And there was so much play inspired play with this. It was like I was a little girl with my dolls again. It was crazy. Oh, and then hold on, I need to not break anything because I've already broken one of my mother of pearl thread winders from Jackie. This is beautiful. This is one of the new ones I got from her. This as well. I love all the delicate cutout work on these. Oh, they look superb on the tree. She has a pop-up shop at Simpler Symposium, and I'm definitely going to have to buy a few more things to add to this. It's pretty full already, but can you ever have too much mother of pearl or sparkle in your life? I don't think so. And then this is quite special. Okay, so if this does not focus, I'll put in a close-up photo here. This is her Jane Austen thread winder. So the figure here is Jane Austen with a parasol surrounded by trees. It is just fabulous. I love that. So that got placement right at the front. I love Jane Austen. She always makes me laugh. She's so witty. If I've had a bad day, I can just read some Pride and Prejudice, have a good laugh, and enjoy life. And then I mixed that up with the garlands that I made with my own crystal doves. So these two are based on the kit that's available this year, which is the dove with the double wings. This might be a little hard to see on camera, but it has a quite elaborate wing structure that's very heavily beaded. Awesome. You're going to enjoy this so much, or at least I enjoy this so much. And then some older ones. This was my original one. This was an early one I experimented with. It's smaller. It's got just one wing instead of the layered double wing. I mean, he's nice and he fills this spot on this tree perfectly. When compared to the double wing doves, there's no competition here. And then this is the very first guy I ever made based on a Cheswick Company pattern. Dimensional. Fully went for the tail. So this guy's always a struggle for me to display because you should want it like this, right? So you can see that it's a dove. But what's best about him is that crazy, crazy tail. So I always kind of have him tail backwards. So he's got his back to you. I guess he's quite standoffish and rude. But that's the part that you really want to see. How to display crystal doves. Difficult problem in my life, let me tell you. So I might include some extra close-up photos so that you can really see the details here. They're not coming through on camera quite as much as I hoped that they would. But the doves, the mother of pearl, the fabulous garland, they just make a fabulous pairing. If you're feeling very inspired, I hope you'll mix it up the same way yourself. Or I don't know, maybe you'll line them around your head and do your little Cinderella thing like I've got going on here. I didn't accurately picture how that would look on camera. I was kind of thinking it'd be closer, you'd be able to see the doves more clearly. That didn't quite work out so well. And then one other thing I experimented with that I would like to show you. Oh, I also got a needle minder from Jackie. I didn't figure out a way to put this on the tree, but I wanted to show it to you anyways. And they came in our fabulous packaging. So, at first, I was thinking that this needed more, so I bought these on Etsy. These are 10 icicles. These are great, by the way, because they were really inexpensive. I think it was $12 for 12 icicles, and they're great for a little small tree. But when I put them on, I just felt like it was too much. It kind of took away from the concentration of sparkly white iridescence. And then I thought, well, maybe it needs crystal icicles. So I did this, which is a beaded icicle. So this is based on my own spiral rope trim tutorial. I'll link it in the description. And basically that was to do trim for a pillow, but you can also make an icicle out of this. And to get this shape, I did graduated sizes. So at the bottom, I started with 4mm bicones, size 15 and size 11 seed beads. And then I went up to a 5mm bicone with size 15 and 11 seed beads. And then I went up to size 11 and 8 seed beads with a 5mm bicone. And then I took the larger seed beads and then went up to a size 6mm bicone to get this really fatty bit at the top. So basically you graduate your sizes both with the crystals and the seed beads and then weave in your ends at top and bottom. I also added a little pear pendant drop at the bottom to finish it off, and then just a little wire hanger at the top. I'll definitely be putting this on my main tree because, oh, that's awesome. But when you get the doves, the mother of pearl, the crystal garland, and then you start adding the crystal icicles, that's very definitely too much. And normally there's no such thing as too much sparkle in my world. So when even I think, okay, maybe it's time to lay off, it's definitely time to lay off. But if you'd like to make something similar for your own tree, this is awesome. And then I will put a written description in the, a written description of what I just said in the description for this episode, so that you have essentially a recipe to follow if you'd like to make some beaded icicles. Like I said, definitely that's going on my own tree. I might even make some more once I get my tree up and see how that looks. In the meantime, this bit of fabulousness is definitely staying up. I may be filming next to it, next time too. Oh, I love it. I wish I could just put this through your screen and hold it in your space so that you could actually see this in person, because the amount of light and sparkle and iridescence that kicks off this thing is just amazing. It is utterly glorious, and I have Jackie and Susan to thank for the inspiration to create this. Now, putting ornaments on a tree is not exactly the most innovative display of all time. I know some of you heard me talking it up on the last episode and are like, oh, you put them on a tree, Katie, that's it. But, oh, if you saw this in person, you'd see why I have just been so super excited about this. And then the last thing I have for you today is the winner of the giveaway from the last episode, which was the Cheswick Company Snow Gnome. That is Cameron Sarah E. I have commented on your comment. Please send me your mailing address and I will get this to you in joy. So for those of you who commented, the Cheswick Company is amazing. I can't recommend their ornaments enough. I've been making them for years. The Pooh Bear from the 100 Acre Woods series is one of my all-time favorites. My mom made it for me, and if you go back to last year's holiday episodes, you can see him on the tree behind me because he always gets mega placement. But the snow gnome's pretty cute too. You can't go too far wrong when it comes to Cheswick Company. So that brings me to the end of this episode, and for next time, lots of stitching. Looking around for lots of beading. We'll be seeing my other less crazy but still beautiful daffodils, some little nicks, maybe some cookie clauses. I have a whole set of Christmas charts lined up, so we'll see at which point the urge becomes irresistible to holiday stitch. I think it's coming. It's probably coming very, very soon, but we'll see how long I can hold out. And I hope there will be some samplers too, because I am really enjoying working on Elizabeth Campbell. I think this is going to be absolutely amazing when I do get it finished, which will be sometime, I swear. And then I am also going to have my mom on as a special guest to show you what she's been doing, because despite her many protestations, she actually has done quite a great deal and has some finishes to share with you. So I'm going to drag her on to share that. So we'll have a special guest next time. There is also going to be an unboxing of the Dove Kit after I sign off, so stay tuned if you're interested to see what's in the Crystal Dove Kit. Spoiler alert, everything you need except tacky glue, lead pencil, and a couple of straight pins just to hold everything in place while you're assembling. So it really is truly comprehensive. The one thing that's not shown in the unboxing, which I already filmed, is that you do also get the needle. The number 10 millimeters needle I recommend in the instructions and that I use for everything on my own Dove is in your piece of white felt in the kit. So just to recap, currently available, the Crystal Dove, washing out in all the light here, but it really is amazing and I can't wait for all of you to discover that for yourself. The 2023 Prairie Schooler Santa, as well as Cardinal Kitten with or without beading, chocolate hearts, and the Stacy and Ash Wonderful Life pink keep drum. And not available from me, but something that I think you really need to have in your life, is the new volume of Choice and Precious Work from Witney Antiques. Truly an amazing book, and I can't wait to spend more time with that in coming weeks as well. So I will see you again in 2 weeks, and until then, happy stitching. Stay tuned for the Dove unboxing after this if you're interested. We're going to finish today by doing a quick kit unboxing of what's in the Crystal Dove kit. Spoiler alert, everything needed to create your dove except for a couple of crafting basics. So that would be 2 sewing pins, a lead pencil, and some tacky glue. Pretty easy. This also comes with downloadable PDF instructions, which will be emailed to you automatically after you complete your purchase. So this is what you're creating. Obviously, it's a little under life size, so on the lid, so don't use this as your pattern. But let's take a look at what's actually inside the box. a lot of beads pretty much, but we'll start with your thread. You have two full spools of thread. You have a 103, which is what's used for all the beading and assembly on your dove. And then you also have a full spool of the metallic braid that was used to create the hanger on the ornament. And obviously you don't need a full spool to create one ornament hanger, but I did do the math and it was legitimately cheaper to give you a full spool where you can make hangers for other ornaments than to cut individually, package, and wrap lengths for just one ornament. So that seems like a better option for everybody. Full spools, always good. And then you have a couple of things needed for your dove, which are the black round bead for the eye, the felt for the beak. There's plenty of extra there. We also have 2 sizes of sequins and the seed beads that go with them to hold them on. And again, how you use all these different components is fully covered in detail in the instructions. You also have some what I like to call structure beads. These are bugle beads and crystal tile beads. And then we get to your crystals, the really fun stuff. You have 2 sizes of bicones, color crystal moonlight. How to tell those apart and where each is used are, again, fully covered in the instructions. I like to be very thorough. You have rounds, and then you have a wonderful, very sparkly type of bead called a roundel, which is basically a donut shape with a knife edge. Super sparkly, very fun. Inside your acid-free archival grade tissue package, you have the white felt that's used to make your dove. And then there is Bristol paper for assembly. And then in the very bottom of the kit, we have your templates, both cutting templates and a layout template, which you can use if you wish to make sure that you get everything exactly as you would like it, or at least as I like it for your dove. Obviously, you can choose to place your wing differently and have as much fun as you want with these components. The instructions outlined how I put all of these together, but you do have some extra of everything here, and you can definitely play to make the dove your own. You really can't go very far wrong with all these fabulous, sparkly, fun materials. This is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful project. They're so striking in person, and I hope you really enjoy creating your own crystal doves.